As Hurricane Dorian is now a Category 4 storm, packing maximum sustained wind speeds of over 150 miles per hour. Dorian has slowed its approach towards the Bahamas and the U.S. mainland. It's giving it time to grow in size and in strength. A hurricane warning was issued for the northwestern Bahamas earlier. A life-threatening storm surge there could actually cause water levels to rise as much as 15 feet above normal. Residents have begun preparations for the potential damage. Well, Americans along the East Coast, from Florida to the Carolinas, are stocking up on emergency rations. Hurricane Dorian could make landfall shortly after the holiday weekend, or it could stay away from the mainland altogether. President Trump took to Twitter earlier today, issuing a warning. It was to South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. He said that the storm is, quote, moving around and very hard to predict. Expect that it's one of the biggest and strongest and really wide that we've seen in decades. Be safe. CBS News contributing meteorologist Jeff Berardelli joins me now. So, Jeff, what is the latest on Dorian?
So the latest is it's stronger. Winds are 150 miles an hour. So it's a Cat 4. But when winds jump to 156 miles an hour, it becomes a Cat 5. It may or may not happen. Luckily, it's over the open waters right now when it's doing that. Also, there's been a shift in the track as well. So the track is probably going to be slightly to the east, I think, and it may not actually make landfall in the state of Florida. Can you believe that after all this? But I'll tell you, no one's unhappy about that.
Absolutely.
Everyone in Florida is breathing a careful sigh of relief. So notice, though, it gets stuck over Grand Bahama. It's going to be a really devastating storm for them, probably, with winds of 140 miles an hour. But notice it parallels the coast as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, but does not come on shore. Now, you know, we could have landfall anywhere in that cone, but obviously it's more likely near the center of the cone. And then the system heads towards the Carolinas. Does it make landfall in South or North Carolina? Hard to tell. The middle of the cone is right along the coast of Wilmington and Cape Hatteras as we head towards Wednesday night and into Thursday as a slightly weaker system when it gets up there, because it's going to be dragging in dry air from land. It'll probably weaken a little bit, plus encountering a little wind shear as well.
So, Jeff, when we talked yesterday, there were so many different models that looked like it was definitely going to hit somewhere in Florida. And we wake up this morning and see this sudden shift. What happened exactly?
So hurricanes are big and strong, but they're also extraordinarily vulnerable to the outside influences, their environment. And hurricanes are steered by winds that are like 5 or 10 miles an hour. So literally a butterfly flapping its wings can change, and that's what makes it so difficult. Right now it's being steered by a real solid area of high pressure, but notice right there, it breaks apart. And a little weakness or corridor develops just to the east of Florida. It becomes kind of stalled out and it is no man's land. It waits for the next system to come along and possibly move it to the north. And right now a jet stream is going to dive to the south. It may be just enough of a magnetic pull to tug it to the north and bring it northward to avoid landfall in Florida, but it's going to be a close call for northeast Florida, so you can't let your guard down. So that's that. This is the European model. You'll notice that the system moves into the Bahamas. It'll slow down dramatically when it gets over Grand Bahama. Really concerned for storm surge, 15 plus feet there, 140, 150 mile an hour winds, devastating 1 to 2 feet of rain for that island. It's going to get stuck for a day, day and a half. But then it makes the turn north, and notice that it does not come on shore, according to the European model, in northeast Florida, but it may come on shore in South or North Carolina. So it's still something that we need to watch extraordinarily closely for the southeast coast of the whole United States, really.
So when you're talking about impact, I mean, we're going to be tracking this pretty much for the next week. What should we be looking out for at this point?
You know, it's too early to know if it's going to make landfall in the Carolinas, so we can't really tell you how strong the winds are going to be when it gets there, because it may or may not make landfall. But what we can tell you for sure is the waves are going to be huge. We're talking some very big waves, probably up to 40 and 50 feet. Watch this. We'll put this in motion. Once it passes the Bahamas into the Gulf Stream, look at that. We're talking massive waves offshore. It'll be dangerous for beachgoers. Rip current risk is going to be extraordinarily high. Coastal flooding is going to be a big problem. And the reason is we're on a new moon. On a new moon, tides are always higher. Plus, we're in the fall. We have king tides. So watch out for coastal flooding. That's going to be an issue. And obviously, large, rough, crashing waves. The other impact, rainfall. And that's a question of exactly where it goes. So right now, this is the American model showing that most of the heavy rain east of Florida. So maybe 2 inches of rain, West Palm Beach, maybe 2 to 3 inches of rain, Titusville, Jacksonville, not a big deal. But if you move that swath of rain, and by the way, that's as much as 2 feet of rain over the Bahamas. If you move that swath of rain just 50 miles to the left, and it could still happen, you could be talking about over a foot of rain over land. Right now, it's over the water. What I should say as kind of a last thing is You know, we've seen a trend eastward over the past 24 hours. It's not just like windshield wipers where the models go one way, they go the other way. They go one way. That's always uncertain. But when a model starts to shift, where we have a little more confidence, it does it gradually over time. That's what's been happening. With that said, it has fooled us once. It could easily fool us again. So if you're in the cone, anywhere in the cone, take it seriously because you saw the big changes yesterday. They could happen again today or tonight.
All right. I'm so grateful you're going to be here all weekend tracking this with us.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm sleeping under that desk over there.
I'm going to